Hello, this is Teacher Wayne, and in this video I'm going to show how I've made the environment for my zombie survival game. Now, I know I've done an environment before, but this I'm just going to make it just do a pure one just for this zombie survival game. So here we are, I've got my Unity set up. It follows on from the previous video I made where we did the prerequisites, we got the assets in, and now we are actually going to create the actual 3D environment. This is quite straightforward. I love the way it works in Unity, the 3D environment. So here we are. I've got the standard assets imported. I've got the zombies assets imported this side. And what I'm going to do within my game is I've got my scene saved as game. And what I'm now going to create is I'm going to create a terrain. So on the left hand side where you've got all these a list of the things you've got here, I'm just going to literally right click and create a 3D object, and then I'm going to select terrain. And when I do that, it appears there, and also you'll notice at the bottom of the screen you get this white square, and I'm just using the WASD keys and holding down the right mouse button, just clicking it and holding it down. As you can see, it's moving down now. It's a bit jerky because it's doing this baking in the bottom right, but eventually it'll smooth down. Now, if you notice on the right hand side of the screen, we've got all these different icons here. What I'm going to do first is go to Paint Settings, and I'm going to go Edit Textures, and I'm going to go Add Textures. And what we're going to do is we're going to add 3 different textures that we're going to use. So I'm going to select, I'm going to type in grass. And I'm going to I've only tapped in GR if you notice, and it comes up with these. So I'm going to have this one, and as soon as I do it, click there, click X there, and click add, and then it paints the entire landscape as there, and you notice it bakes it. But anyway, I'm going to ignore that for a minute. I'm going to add some more. So click edit, add, select, tap in grass, GR again, and I'm going to set the grassy rock again and add that. So I've got 2 paint brushes and then one final one. And it's basically add, and this time we type in rock, so it's as I've done in my previous video. I'm going to have that one, and then I'm also going to add the texture bit to it, the actual, give it the more of a 3D effect. So type in rock again, and I have that, and then here we are. I've got my 3 paint brushes. Now before I do anything, I'm going to eventually put a lake in. So what I need to do is I need to raise this landscape so that I can create an indentation for my lake. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on paint height here. This second one from the thing, and if you notice here you've got a height, it's set at 50. I'm going to change mine to 100. So I'm going to move it 100 game units. Oh, I click that and notice it vanishes from screen. All it's done is it's just jumped up. I just double click again on terrain in this view here, in the scene view, and it zooms back in. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a bit of a landscape first, and then I'm going to put my trees in and so on. So I'm going to click on raise lower terrain. I'm going to pick a paintbrush. Now when you click in a paintbrush, you've got all these different choices, but you've got a brush size and you've got an opacity. So I'm going to go for a fairly speckled sort of effect, which is that, looks like that, and I'm going to make the brush a little bit, I'll leave the brush about 60, it's alright, and I'm going to just simply click, and as I move over the landscape, it just creates this little pattern. I'll go all the way around. Notice it's got the textures not right, but we'll sort that out in a minute. I'm just doing it fairly roughly. It makes it more natural if you do it sort of like this. It's sort of natural effect. And I'm just doing that, and that is the beginning of my 3D landscape. So I've started making this landscape here around the outside, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just have various bits and pieces, just sort of expand it out a little bit. Let's give it like effect. The point is you want your game so that characters can't roll too far outside. So I'm building up a bit of terrain around the outside. like this. Right, so now I'm going to paint it, and let's put some, pick that texture there, and pick the big brush, and then just go around the outside and paint it all. Around the outside, and let's do that. And then I'll pick the other brush here, and then go around. Right, okay, so I've got that. As you can see, I'm going to zoom in. Did that actually draw? Doing some baking. When it's doing baking, you can't really see what it's going to do. Right, I'm just checking it out. Alright, sort of lagging a bit as it paints here. So I've got my basic landscape here. It's not very high around this end, so I'm going to just try. It's just lagging out a little bit because it's baking. I'm going to just increase the size around here, pick a new paintbrush and just raise it and lower height here. There we are. Get a bit of an height effect here. It's really quite straightforward. It reminds me of Microsoft Paint, all this, just to be honest. It's quite, I like it. Right, so I've got it high there. And raise it over that end maybe as well. You've got to get it so that people can't run over it, so I'm just raising it up a little bit. I'm trying to keep it looking as natural as you can. So anyway, I've got my landscape sorted out there. Probably tweak it later at some other stage, but we've got our basic 3D environment here. Now what I want to do is we're going to add some extra elements. For example, we're going to want some trees and we want some water, so let's think about that. First of all, so we've raised this thing, and what I now want to do is create a place where a lake is. Now my view of where the lake is, it would be a good idea to have it in one of the corners. So maybe I could have it in this corner here. Let's have a look. I'll put it in this corner here. So I'm going to put a lake over here. So I'm going to pick a nice brush. Let's pick a break brush. Let's click that one. And now rather than just clicking up, pressing the left hand mouse button to raise it like I've done, I'm going to press shift and that, and it'll knock it down. As you can see, it's just making it. That's it. I'm going to get it so it stretches out a bit. I'm going to raise it up here, raise it around a bit as well. Now, I'm going to make it a slightly smaller brush, and I'm going to just so they get it so it goes. I want it so it is there. So this part of the map is where the water is going to go. So I'm going to add a lake to this area. So what I do is I go to assets. So notice before I do anything, I've got something called new terrain. That's the terrain I've just get. I want to put that in my game, so I'm going to drag and drop that into game. Open game up and then drag the terrain and drag it into the proper area. So that there, I've got a nice structure for things. I know my terrain's in there, and my scenes are in there, and my code's there. I've got no code at the moment, but I do have a terrain and I do have a scene. I can rename that, and I could even call that if I want first terrain, because you might have multiple terrains, but for now just leave it there. So I'm going to add some water here. So assets, imported assets, standard assets, and then if we go to I think it's environment, yes there it is. I've got different types of water. Now this is where we've got our advanced water. Water 4 for the prefabs here, this is the advanced water. Now this type of water, simple and advanced, These are the more advanced water, give more wave effects. Now the advanced water is what you'd have as ocean waves. Now they're not really appropriate for a lake, so I'm going to just stick to simple and stick just to water. I'm going to prefabs, and this is the, if you notice there, this is daytime and that's nighttime. Well, I'm going to put daytime for now, but one of the things you may want to consider is making it nighttime, but I will look at that later. We'll just put daytime for now. I'm going to drag it and drop it in there, and I'm going to, these icons allow me to manipulate it, so I want to move it up, which is this one here, and then I want to stretch it out, which is this one here, and then just stretching this out, and then move it across a bit. Let's have a look, we'll zoom in a bit. I want to just stretch this out a little bit. There we are, just so that it fits this area. That looks alright to me. Let's have a look. I can raise it up a bit. There, I don't want it too flooding everywhere, but there you have a little water, and make sure it fills all of it, and it's not traditional circular sort of effect. So there we are, I've got a lake now. So next we want some trees, so let's add some trees. So click on the terrain, click on the tree icon, edit trees, add trees, click on that little circle there. Yeah, what you want is you want these two, the broadleaf, so I'm going to click broadleaf and add that, edit trees, add trees, and then you click the other one and add that. So I've got two trees now, edit trees, add trees. I think there's a conifer one as well. Let's just, oh there it is, I can see it actually, there it is. These are the default free that you get. So now I want to add these. Now brush size, I'm going to make my brush, I'll leave it at 40, but I want to reduce this tree density. I'll just get too mad, so I'm going to click these are just conifers, get some different types of trees in, and then there we are, I've got some trees randomly scattered about just to give it a nice effect. So we've now got trees, a lake, got mountain range. I want to maybe have a bit of a, have a little bit of a path through here. There, so like a bit of a path appearing. We can have some more detail. These are paint details, these are specific types of grass effects you can have. So let's edit effects, add grass texture, and let's have some grass texture, shall we? This one here, I think, is the one I want to add. Now if I scroll in, oops, let's have a scroll into an area. I've got to get zoom in just to see what this is like. So I've got, there we are, brush size 60. Let's make it nice and let's make it a bit smaller. Press play there. I can see what happens. I've just got some grass added. So you've got to be careful with this because it can get quite kill your machine off with what you're actually doing. Right, I'll click on it again there. Target strength, make it weak. There's a few patches around here. The reason I've zoomed in is because if I place them and I'm zoomed out, you can't actually see them. It makes it harder. I'm not having lots of this. I'm just having some sporadic little patterns of them, just to make it look interesting. Yeah, you can see if I click there, it doesn't like there's anything there, but as I zoom in, it appears. So be careful when you're doing this, because you might not see all of them. That's it. So now we have our 3D landscape. Let's zoom in over it. Created. Alright. There are other things we can do as well. There's one thing you want to be careful is this is mass placing trees. Trying to find out what it is. But there's a mass place tree option. You don't want to actually do that because that will literally kill your PC. But this is my really simple 3D environment video. So I hope you like that. This is Teacher Wayne signing out. Thank you very much and see you in the next video.